Hey, everybody. We're here today with Brett Davis and Brian Erickson, and we also have Valerie Summers joining us as well. And we're going to talk about some really important races we have for Superior Court judge. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Brian, and let us know why is it important to have these judge races?
Thank you, Paula. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Erickson. I've been a deputy district attorney for 29 years. I currently prosecute cold case homicide cases, but most of my background has been in domestic violence, child abuse, and child sexual molestation and child sexual assault. So I have 29 years experience on the bench dealing with the most difficult cases one can imagine. The biggest reason these seats are really important is this year there's 4 seats available. Only 2 of the seats are contested. I'm running for one of them. Valerie Summers is running for another seat. Just want to make it very clear, we are not running against each other. But about 90% of the judges that we have on the Superior Court bench are appointed by the governor. This is one of the few times that we have the opportunity as the public, as the voters, in this democracy that we live in, to vote people in that directly represent us as the people of the county of San Diego. So we have very few opportunities to do that. This is one of them. And Valerie and I are both running for, as I said, different seats. We're not running against each other. And this election, I want to make it very clear to everybody, will be decided on March 5th. This will not go to a general election. The primary is going to decide this. So it's very important to get out and vote for both Valerie and I, at least by March 5th, to make sure that we have the representation that we would need on our bench.
So, Valerie, why don't you give us a short rundown also on your experience and why you think that you would be the person for this seat?
Thanks, Paula, and hi to everybody. I'm Valerie Summers, and I'm running for seat 43, as Brian and Paula said, not against each other. They're 2 separate seats. If you want to know a little bit about me, I'll tell you my history. I'm a 35-year prosecutor with the county of San Diego. I've handled the biggest cases that this county has ever known, including the recent murder of San Diego police officer J.D. Guzman and the attempt murder of his partner. I tried successfully that case. I also successfully tried the man who sexually assaulted and murdered 9 and 13-year-old Charlie Keever and Jonathan Sellers years ago in South Bay. I tried the man named Ford, who raped the woman he transported to her medical appointments, and the man named David Paul Fradiani, who tracked down the woman he raped in Northern California at her home in Del Mar and killed her. I've been entrusted with the largest and most sensitive units in the office, including I was assistant chief of our gang prosecution unit. I was chief of our sex crimes and human trafficking division, and I was chief of the family protection division. I'm also an educator. I have taught at the university level for over 20 years, including at Cal State San Marcos, and the majority of my time has been at UCSD. Those are full undergraduate courses. I am endorsed, as is Brian. Both of us are endorsed by Summer Stephan, who is your elected DA. We are endorsed by San Diego Police Department's POA, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, and every single municipal law enforcement police officers association within the county of San Diego. We are endorsed by the bench. You'll find no candidates with more endorsements. So the judges who are currently on the bench want the 2 of us to replace the outgoing judges. I myself have 70 of the judges on the bench who are requesting that by endorsing me.
Thank you very much for your rundown on your experience. I think it's really important that we have people who know what they're doing and who have the legal experience to be on the bench. So, Brian, tell me, why is it being judged important to you?
Yeah, at this point in my career, like I said, I've mostly prosecuted domestic violence and child abuse cases and stalking cases, and cases that really affect victims, the community, their families. One of the things I've noticed, I'm still in court every single day, and one of the things that I noticed is that victims are really losing their voices in our courtrooms. And to me, as a career prosecutor, that breaks my heart, because I'm literally dealing with victims on the second worst day of their lives. And I've had the opportunity to obviously get close to a lot of these people and help them through their, like I said, the second worst day in their life. So one of the things as a judge that I vow is that victims, their families, the communities, and law enforcement will never lose their voices. We're all equal partners in this, and we can't, just be focused on one part of the equation in this. So for me, as somebody that has dealt with victims and really devoted my life to them, my career to them, it's important that we have judges that understand that as well. And coming up and testifying about the things that they have to testify to is the worst thing ever. And if there's not a friendly face or someone at least understands where they're coming from on the bench, it can re-traumatize them and make the situation worse for them. So that's my biggest thing is victims and making sure they're not re-victimized by our courts.
So is that the why?
That's definitely the why, yes.
Which is very important. So tell us a little bit about your college. Where did you go to school and where you're from?
I went to law school right here in San Diego. Prior to that, I went to the University of Texas in Arlington. Was a poli-sci major there, and grew up in Chicago, of all places. So I'm familiar with politics and how everything works. Now I'm getting a firsthand view of it, but it's been an interesting ride. And we were talking earlier, I have been running since April, which Paula said the seats open up for judges in November. And that's when most people kind of decide, I think I'm going to run for judge. But have been so devoted to this position and earning this position, I've made it a goal to reach as many people as I can in this county. And let me tell you, it's a big county. This is a county-wide race. Everybody in the county can vote. And I think in this position, it's a nonpartisan race. And I think it's important for people to know and see the people that are going to represent them on the bench. And so it was important to me to get out, meet people so they can say, I know Brian Erickson. He's a good guy. I'm going to vote for him because I've met him and seen him.
Very good. Any organizations that you're involved with any of your free time? You probably don't have a lot of free time.
I do have two, like we talked earlier, too. I have two kids in college, all play sports, and I have a daughter that plays high school volleyball. So that takes up a lot of my time. But what I would do is I've done a lot of fundraising and participating with groups. National MS Society is one of them, and I would sponsor bike riders, teams of DAs that would ride bikes, 150-mile bike ride from Orange County to San Diego. We'd do that every year. Challenged Athletes was one of my big ones that I've always been very partial to. It's a great organization.
They're huge in San Diego.
Yeah, and the money goes directly to the Challenged Athletes, which is great. I do a lot of volunteering with high school court teams and things like that. But a lot of my time was spent on the Little League fields. I can tell you in Rancho Penasquitos and the soccer fields, coaching my kids and, being part of that community as well. But I like to get out and be part of the community and spend as much time as I can with them.
Very good. Paula, what is your why?
You mean
Valerie?
Valerie? Yes.
Valerie.
Sorry.
Yeah. Why? Well, I also want to make sure that the defendant's rights are preserved, and we all agree that that's very, very important. That's part of our Bill of Rights, and it's central to the administration of our justice system. But in addition to that, I want to make sure that our victims, our law enforcement, and our community itself has a voice in the courtroom. You'll note if you go to our websites, ValerieSummers.com and Brian Erickson for Judge, that we are both endorsed by Crime Victims United, which doesn't give that endorsement easily. They give that endorsement when they trust and understand that the person they give their endorsement to understands the tragedy that victims go through, whether it's a financial loss or a large human loss. And I've handled more murders than most people. I've had more than a dozen murder verdicts. And I believe that it's important that the law enforcement, our victims, and our community itself is represented, whether it's a criminal case or a civil case. And I have the experience that goes forward with that. With regard to where I'm from, I am a Southern California native, grew up in a town called La Cañada, up in the Pasadena area. I am a proud San Diego State Aztec. So I came down here for college, fell in love with it, went back up to Loyola Law School, and then came back down here to raise my family and be a DA. In fact, I didn't intend on becoming a DA. I happened in the office to get my trial experience and found it so rewarding and the work to be so important that 35 years later, I've never left. So I believe our criminal justice system is the centerpiece. Most of the cases in your San Diego Superior Court are criminal, but I'm excited to learn new and different areas of the law. And I believe both Brian and I are your most experienced candidates.
I would happen to agree with you.
I have your sign in my yard, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I do too.
I look forward to getting a sign from you as well.
I'll give you one today.
Good.
So Valarie, what do you do for, I know that you've already retired, but I know that you're still helping out the district attorney's office. So even though you're retired, you are still active in the legal community, correct?
I'm not really retired. I was in the middle of trying J.D. de Guzman's murder, the murder of the San Diego police officer, when I reached the maximum amount of time that you can work in the DA's office. And so what the county did was the county put me on what's called an emergency 120. I can work 120 days a year at the DA's office, which I continue to do. At the present time, since I am one of the statewide sentencing experts, I'm rewriting the sentencing book that we use to train DAs all the way all across the state on felony sentencing. I've taught felony sentencing for probably 25, 30 years. And when around that seminar, the seminar for the state, for over a decade. I also teach it to probation officers, and we put out basically a big manual every year, and I'm rewriting that. In addition to that, of course, I continue to teach. I teach 2 classes a year at UCSD, undergraduate, about 120 kids in the class each time. In the fall, I teach Crime and Society. It's a sociology course. And in the spring, I teach criminal punishment. And that, again, is about 120 students. And that'll start up again here March 26th, I believe.
It's nice to have candidates that have roots in San Diego and are involved with the community like both of you are. Because you care. I mean, it comes across that you both really care about what you're doing.
So you're invested in San Diego.
Yeah, I learned after going to law school, I had a job. I worked in Yosemite, which was beautiful in its own right. I worked there for 2 years for the DA's office there. It was a very small town. But I'll tell you, after living in San Diego, it's hard to live anywhere else in the world. And I did as much as I could to get back here as soon as I could. And that's when I came back, I worked for the city attorney's office, and I was the head of their child abuse and domestic violence unit there for 6 years before moving over to the DA's office. But San Diego is a beautiful place and great place to be. And we're going to try and keep it that way from the bench.
It's very important. I think it's probably one of the most beautiful cities in the United States.
Agreed.
And it's this race is important because it's going to be decided March 5th. The ballots have already dropped, so they're already in people's hands. So people can already vote for Valerie Summers and Brian Erickson. They're on the ballot. I get calls already from people saying, who do I vote for? So make sure you pull those ballots out, vote, and send them in right away. It's going to be decided March 5th.
That's right. Got to get the word out and let everybody know. Tell not only vote, but tell 10, 15, 20 of your friends to vote for us as well, because that's what I was alluding to earlier. People don't know who to vote for judge, and it's it's not a high on the ballot, so people don't know. But once you've met us and heard from us, tell 10 people, tell 20 people, vote for both of us, and that's what gets the job done.
Definitely. Could I tell you guys a quick story about Brian, since I got you all here?
Sure. Go for it.
This is going to be a good one, isn't it?
Yeah. It tells you the truth about who Brian is. I am a DA of over 35 years. And one of the centerpieces from the moment I got in the office that we were taught is that as a employee of the public, you are a steward of the public trust. So you owe the public your time. You owe full time and then some. And everybody who knows me, you can ask any of the 70 judges on my list or any of the DAs I work with. I'm known for an incredibly strong work ethic and my integrity. So I'm running sex crimes and human trafficking. And it's my job, part of my job is to assign out cases when they come in. It is Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, and the man you have sitting there has young kids at home. And a murder comes in. And Brian hasn't had a murder yet, but he's ready. So Christmas Eve, no one's there. Brian is there, kids at home, so he gets his first murder. He does a great job. So when I'm asked to run the bigger unit of family protection, I get to take someone with me. I take Brian because his work ethic is strong and his skills are stronger. Christmas Eve comes up again. There's a triple murder at the mall. I walk the halls looking for who's there. Brian's there. Christmas Eve again. So he gets a triple murder. So that'll show you that Brian Erickson has the internalized deep into his core that he is a steward of the public trust. If the public hires Brian for this job, they will get a judge who is there, who's not there to take things easy, but a judge who is there to do the job, learn the job, and really give the public 100% of his time. So that's a little inside story about Brian.
Well, I can't thank Valarie enough. Valerie's been a mentor to me in my career, and I would follow her anywhere, to be honest with you. And you can see why. It's just amazing working for her, working beside her. And I've learned more from her as an attorney than anybody in my career. So I can't say enough and thank her for the opportunity she gave me. But as she said, the public has entrusted us with this job, and it's more than a job. It's what we believe in and what we live for, to be honest with you. And I've learned from the best. Like I said, working alongside people like Valarie and Summers Stefan, you can't go wrong. These are people that are dedicated to public safety, dedicated to our communities, and making our communities safe to live in. And you cannot ask for more from anybody. So I thank them for just the opportunity of being in their presence and being able to learn from them. So thank you, Valarie. Thanks.
Thank you.
Two things come to mind which Valarie just said was you both are very hardworking, and another word comes to mind is integrity. Mm-hmm. Those are two things that we've lost in society that are very important more than ever right now.
And we see that in district attorneys from other cities and other states that are not necessarily people of the community, and their integrity is not, in their signatures. So that's really important here in San Diego. I think we're really blessed. We have a great district attorney in Summers Stefan, mm-hmm. and these two in her office have been a contribution to the community. So we're blessed.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, be sure you open those ballots and vote for Brian Erickson and Valerie Summers, and return them as soon as possible. As we all know, we have a vote. We vote for the whole month here in California, so ballots should already be in your hands. Don't set them on the kitchen counter and forget to turn them in. We really need your help in getting these two on the bench. So make sure you open that ballot, do what you need to do, fill out those boxes and send them in so that they can be counted, and we can see what the results are going to be on March 5th. Thank you.
Thank you.
We wish both of you the very best.
Great.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.